Good morning, ninth graders. Today we are going to talk about the excretory system. So we talked about the digestive system already, so this is kind of the digestive system's counterpart, the excretory system. If you remember, ask yourself, what does excretion mean? Excretion is removal of waste. So, what are the functions of the excretory system? Well, your excretory system is in charge of removing toxins and metabolic waste from the body. It controls the amount of fluid and salts in the body, and it helps to control your pH. Remember that waste that comes out of the digestive tract is not considered part of the excretory system, so they are kept separate, even though, yes, your digestive tract is in fact removing waste. It is considered a slightly different thing. So, parts of the excretory system. There's a couple different major parts of the excretory system. You have your lungs, which excrete carbon dioxide as you exhale. Excuse me. You have your skin, which excrete water and salts and sweat. You don't really think of your skin as an excretory organ, but it really is. Really, as you sweat, it really secretes a lot of the waste products from your cells. And then your kidneys, which are the major excretory organ, and that is the one that basically the kidneys act like a filter to clean your bloodstream, and then that removes all the toxins from your bloodstream. So, the urinary system. Parts of the urinary system are your kidneys, which are kind of up in your lower back. This is a front view cartoon, but the kidneys are actually going to sit on the back side of your body, not on the front side of your body. Kidneys, again, act like a big filter. And they filter the blood. These are blood vessels that are running into the kidneys. They'll filter out the blood and collect the waste products in the form of urine. The urine will get sent down these yellow tubes here, which are called ureters, one from each kidney, into the bladder. And then the urine will hang out in the bladder until you're ready to go to the bathroom, and then you'll remove it through the urethra. The kidney, you don't have to really know all of these parts of the kidney. The kidney is a very complex structure that has lots of inner workings that, again, you don't really need to stress yourself out about. But you do need to understand that the renal artery is a kidney artery. It flows blood in to the kidney, and the renal vein brings the blood back out of the kidney. And then while the blood is in here, it's basically getting filtered. It's like a big, like a Brita filter, if you have one of those pitchers in your refrigerator that filter the water. You pour the water on the top, and it trickles down into the bottom, and it cleans out all the junk. It's the same kind of thing that the kidney is doing. And then all that junk collects here in the ureter and gets dumped down into the bladder. So the job of the kidney officially is to filter out wastes, water, and salts from the blood. Each kidney contains about 1 million filtering units. They're called nephrons. And again, those are some of the nitty-gritty things that are inside of your kidney that you don't necessarily have to know about, but you should be familiar with the word nephron. It creates urine, which is just a collection of toxins and excess fluids. The kidney filters about 180 liters of blood in adults each day. So think about like a 2-liter bottle of soda, those big decent-sized bottles of soda that you would get at the store. 2 liters, that's a lot of liquid. So think of 90 bottles of that, basically, would be 180 liters of blood. So picture in your head, really quick, 90 2-liter bottles of soda. Do you think you have that much blood in your body? The answer is no, you do not have that much blood in your body. However, your blood will be filtered more than one time in a day usually, which is why you have to go to the bathroom more than one time in a day typically. Your whole blood volume is filtered about every 45 minutes, and it's you create about 1.5 liters of urine daily. So again, if you go back to thinking about that 2-liter bottle of soda, then you might remember that 1.5 liters is about 3/4 of that one bottle of soda. Kidneys use about 25% of the body's oxygen intake to create enough energy to power the kidneys, is what that should say. Let me double check, but yes, to power. I'm not sure why it's so far scooched down there. Move that up. And move that up. There we go. That's what we want to say. To power the kidney. This is just a little bit more detailed picture of the nephron. And again, remember the nephron is inside of the kidney, and it is basically an individual filtering unit. There are, if we look back, there are about 1 million filtering units in the kidney. That's what they're called. So there's about 1 million of these little units inside the kidney, and their job is a little bit more nitty-gritty on how that actually works. Earlier in this school year, we talked about diffusion, and that is basically what's happening here. So anywhere you see artery or vein or capillaries, that all is tubes that blood is flowing through. And what happens is you see where the blood runs right along the edge of this is called the Bowman's capsule. Here there's all these blood vessels, and again, I know they're clear. They're not colored. It would be helpful if they were blue or red so you knew they were blood, but they're not. They're sort of webbed around these. This is called the loop of Henle, the convoluted tube, and the collecting tube. As they sit against these tubes and capsules and tubules and all that stuff, the toxins, inside the blood can diffuse across these membranes. So here, for example, is a good spot. The blood that's right here, the toxins that pass through here are going to diffuse into the Bowman's capsule. And the blood will stay, probably because the blood cells are too big to diffuse, but the toxins are not too big to diffuse. So the toxins are able to diffuse through this membrane into the Bowman's capsule, and then it gets moved through the convoluted tube, the loop of Henle, and into the collecting tube, which ultimately ends up going to the ureter. Okay, again, you don't necessarily have to know all of these names, but understand that in each nephron, there is lots of diffusion occurring, and the toxins are diffusing from the blood into the tubules of the nephron to remove them from the blood. So here's a little more of an explanation. Blood flows from the renal artery into the glomerulus. Again, not a word you need to know, but it's a ball of capillaries. Capillaries is just a whole bunch of blood vessels. Fluid flows from the blood into the Bowman's capsule. And then there's filtrate. The filtrate is the materials that are filtered out from the blood. Those are your toxins, your waste, your water, your salts, your vitamins. And the cells and the platelets and the proteins are too large to pass through the capillaries, so they remain in the blood, which is good because otherwise we would have no blood left because all of our blood would diffuse right out. Filtrate flows through the renal tube, including the convoluted tube, the loop of Henle, and the collecting tubule, which is all back in that picture a few slides ago. The capillaries surrounding the renal tubule reabsorb most of the water and other substances needed by the body. Excess fluids and toxins are passed into the collecting tube, and this waste product is then called urine. And then what? The urine travels, like we said, from the kidneys down the ureter. And from the ureter, it's stored in the bladder. And then when the urine is finally removed from the body, it's removed through the urethra. So you have 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 bladder, 1 urethra. That's important. 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 bladder, 1 urethra. And that's the same for males and females. The structure of the urethra is slightly different in a male than a female, but we all have them. So here's some disorders and treatments of the kidneys. So common thing that happens in the urinary system is a urinary tract infection. It's usually caused by bacteria that clings to the urethra and begins to multiply. The symptoms here are increased frequency to urinate. Sometimes you have to go all the time. Sometimes when you go, it can be painful, have like a burning sensation. Sometimes you feel like you have to go really, really bad, and then when you try to go, you have a very small output of urine, so you don't actually have to go. And then also sometimes you'll have cloudy or a milky appearance to the urine, so it won't be its normal color. It's not like literal milk, but it just is a little bit cloudy. Usually it's treated by antibiotics. Oh, dogs are on guard. Don't start barking, dogs. Okay, so something else that can happen is kidney stones. So kidney stones are crystallized solids that form in the kidneys. They're small stones that usually can pass into through the urine, the larger stones will have to get broken up first. So they use what's called ultrasonic waves. So you can see the stones forming as like calcified or crystallized things in the kidneys. These are, from what I hear, I've never had one, but from what I hear, these are incredibly painful. They are painful to have. They are painful to pass down the urethra or down the ureter and into the bladder and out the urethra. If they are too big to work their way down the ureter into the bladder, like I said, they'll use what's called ultrasonic sound waves, and the sound waves will actually blast these bigger stones into smaller stones. It breaks them apart, and then hopefully you can pass those smaller stones. Again, I have thankfully not ever had one, at least not yet, knock on wood. But from what I hear, it is incredibly painful. And this is coming from some women that I know who have also given birth to children. They say that having a kidney stone in some ways is more painful than giving birth. I've not done either, so I don't know. Then there's something called dialysis. So sometimes if someone's kidneys are not working, they'll be put on what's called dialysis. Dialysis is basically where you go to a doctor, depending on how severe your kidney failure or the failure of your kidneys is. Some people need it once a week. Some people need it every day. Some people need it only once every couple of weeks or somewhere in between there. But basically what you do, you'd go to a doctor, a center, or someplace that does dialysis, and they literally will hook you up to this machine, and they will have the blood, as it's circulating through your body, it actually will get pulled out of the body, not all at once, just bits at a time. So it's not like they empty your whole body and then pump you back up. But they will, the blood will circulate out of the body and through this, it's called a hemodialyzer machine. And that is where the filtering will take place. So instead of your kidneys filtering your blood because your kidneys aren't working as well as they should be, this machine will filter out your blood for you. So it will send you back with clean blood. So again, that's why it makes sense that the worse your kidneys are functioning, the more often you would need dialysis. If your kidneys aren't too bad, but they're just not quite doing what they're supposed to do, then maybe you only need dialysis once a week or once every 2 weeks or something like that. You also can potentially get a kidney transplant. So people can have kidney transplants and kidney donations. You can live with one functioning kidney. So if I were to donate my kidney to someone, I could still survive. It's the surgical replacement of a healthy kidney from one person into a patient's body. Sometimes the complication there is that the body can reject the donated kidney. So anytime you put something inside your body that your body doesn't recognize, it's going to attack it as though it's a virus or a bacteria or some sort of illness. So even though we as humans know that the kidney transplant is important and that we need it, or this patient needs it for them to survive, the internal structure of the body, you can't explain that to your immune system. And so sometimes the immune system will actually attack the new kidney, even though the body needs the new kidney, and then it will reject that new kidney and make the patient really sick. Usually when people have kidney transplants or any other kind of transplants, they go on drugs that are called immunosuppressant drugs. So it's like a two-part word, immuno, I-M-M-U-N-O, suppressant. Do you think you might know what that means? Immunosuppressant drugs are used to do exactly what they sound like they're doing, to suppress your immune system. So to suppress something means to slow it down or to stop it or to some way keep it from functioning as high as it should be. So if we can slow down your immune system while you're getting a kidney transplant and while you're recovering from getting the kidney transplant, then your immune system might be kind of too shut down to attack this new kidney. This is, sometimes we call these people who are on immunosuppressant drugs, we call them immunocompromised, which is probably a word you've heard lately if you've been watching the news at all. So right now we are going through the coronavirus pandemic, as I'm sure you're aware. And the people who are more susceptible to potentially having serious complications from the coronavirus are elderly and people who are immunocompromised, which means they are in some other way ill, or their immune system is not kind of top notch as it should be. And so any of those other reasons could add complications to them if they were to contract the coronavirus, or really any other virus. But anyone who's just had a transplant of any kind, whether it's kidney or a different organ transplant, and is on those immunosuppressant drugs would absolutely be in that immunocompromised category. For coronavirus or any other virus or bacteria, they would be much more susceptible to getting sick. Even the flu, a common cold, anything else could also make them really, really sick because their immune system isn't functioning very well. And that's on purpose so that they don't reject the organ. But you can't have the immune system not reject the organ, but still fight all the other potential bacteria and viruses that might enter your body. It's either your immune system is either on or it's off. And there's not really any in between. There's not really any way to make it specific. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video and you have finished up the Edpuzzle questions, and you can use this video as well to fill in your note packets. And I will see you all soon. Take care.